How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to talk about another WattCycle battery. You know, we had one that we reviewed, which is their basic 100 amp hour Group 24. We had one that we gave away on the channel. Congratulations to that individual that won the battery. And this one is actually a third different one. And this is going to be their Group 24 Smart Edition battery, which is a little bit different. So it's similar to the Group 24 battery that they have, 100 amp hour battery. This one is also a Group 24, so rated at 100 amp hours, 1280 watt hours, 12.8 volt lithium iron phosphate battery. Lots and lots of cycle life in this chemistry battery, you know, several thousand cycles depending on your depth of discharge. You know, typically they're around 4,000 cycles for an 80% depth of discharge. So that's taking it down to 20% SOC and recharging that a couple thousand times, which is fantastic. You get a lightweight package when it comes to the Group 24s. So just under 23 pounds on the scale for this guy. Super lightweight, especially if you're going to put it, you know, in your boat, in a small boat, in a kayak, whatever it is. I really like these Group 24 size batteries. You get the full rectangular prismatic cells in here. So you get to be able to move a lot of energy without worrying about the cells swelling up or anything like that. Nice package with the Group 24. You have your traditional battery protections in it. You got over voltage protection, low voltage, high temperature, low temperature. You have low temperature charge protection. So if that's where you live and you need to charge your battery when it's really cold outside, it will protect itself from lithium plating with that special feature there. This one is also Bluetooth enabled. You see the little B there, Bluetooth enabled. I love Bluetooth connected batteries. I really don't think I'd buy a battery without Bluetooth. There's so many options out there now, and it's so nice to be able to just pull it up and see what the SOC is and see if there's any faults or something. You know, sometimes you do something goofy, you arc it, you didn't notice, and it goes to protect itself. You can pull up the app, toggle it on and off and see what's going on. You can check your battery balancing if you wanted to, temperature of the battery, SOC of the battery, cycles on it. It's really nice to be able to pull it up. So definitely consider the Smart Edition battery when you see it. That has Bluetooth connectivity on it. The app is for Android and it's also for Apple iOS. Make sure you go through the App Store and find it. There is a QR code in the manual that took me to a weird place. I would not go that way. Look in the pictures, you'll see the name of the app. Go to the App Store, plug that in. Downloads and works fantastic. You don't need to create a login. You don't need your location or anything like that. It works just great for that. Something else to consider is we did our testing with it, right? So anytime we show a battery, we like to do some testing with it. I've used it on the trolling motor with no issues. So let's talk about the overall discharge test on it. It pulled a full 104 amp hours, which is fantastic, right? You know, 100 amp hour battery, getting 104, you're getting all of it, right? So when you're doing your math on how big of a battery you need, you can be pretty comfortable with 100 amp hours. It's not going to be 92 or anything like that. A lot of these batteries, especially this other one here, 100 amps. Now we also did our new test, which is where we take our 2000 watt inverter and overload the battery and see how it responds. So let's jump over to that. I'm going to go ahead and set up my phone to record. So what we're looking at here is the battery's at 77%. You can ignore this one, it's not calibrated for this guy. But what we've got is our battery status. We've got what the temperature of each of the cells are, total voltage, current's at 0, 2 cycles on the battery so far. Charge is on, discharge is on, and we're at 77%. So what we're going to do is set up our 2 heaters over here. I've got this guy's going to kick on first, and it's going to pull a lot. And then if we needed to ramp up a little bit more, we'll turn on this guy. And what the test is here is we have our battery with a 2000 watt BougeRV inverter with a Hall effect sensor that's going to measure the current for this guy right here. So you'll see this current that will be what's coming out of the battery, and then this one's going to show you the watts going out to the heater. So there'll be a difference in the watts just by the efficiency of the inverter. And once it hits over 100 amps, I'm going to start the clock. And what we're looking for is the continuous discharge disconnect. It should disconnect after, I don't know, 3 to 5 seconds over 100 amps. And let's see if that's going to play out that way. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the first heater here and get ready to start our test. 79, 97, so we'll call it there at 100 amps. 150, 178, 194. Should cool off a little bit from there. So we are at coming up on 30 seconds over 100 amps. You can see that our Bluetooth says 136. So it agrees with what we're seeing over here. We're pulling well over 100. Not disconnecting. Let's go ahead and put on the other heater. Let's add some more to it. Coming up to the 1 minute mark here. Alright. Bringing in more heat. Let's push 200. 207. Over a minute. I'm going to peg our inverter here soon. 2,600 watts coming out of the battery. That's a full 2C discharge. No disconnect at all. Okay. We're going to cut it off at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Over 100 amps. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what does that mean? So it didn't quite protect itself from the continuous overcurrent protection. What does that mean? For a boat application, not a whole lot. You're not really going to run into that with your trolling motor unless something shorts out, of which you should have a fuse circuit breaker, 50-60 amp breaker on that system anyway that would strip, that would protect your wiring, right? You cannot rely on your battery to really handle that. If anything is going to short, you want to make sure you have your fused links in the system. It would be nice if it functioned, but it is not the only one that I've run into. Tested several batteries at that exact same test. Some of them pass, some of them do not. And so I think that's just something that they're going to have to work through it. I'm not exactly sure what to tell you. The app says 140 amps, so you know that the battery, the BMS knows that it's over. So perhaps that's something they're getting ironed out. It's not the end of the world. Make sure you have circuit protection like you should anyway. I mean, your lead acid battery doesn't have that feature either. So just make sure your setup's right and you'll have no issues with it. But overall, I'd say it's still a pretty solid battery, especially for the price point. Love the Bluetooth connectivity. It's going to drop in your boat and run your electronics or your trolling motor just fine. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them down below, and I always get back to you. Feel free to drop any questions or comments. And thanks for checking out our WattCycle battery.